Hey guys, my name is Kate, if you don't know already, and I'm a part-time online clothing reseller. And in today's video, we're going to go through 1 week of sales in August between the dates of the 17th through the 23rd. I feel like sales have been a little slower than usual. Usually sales are slower in the summer because people are outside more and just, more busy with their life. And that's like in June and July. Well, now that we're in August, toward the ends of August, almost in September, it's odd to, be finding myself with less sales, but that's how it's been. But I still have a bunch of sales to go through with you guys. Poshmark has just been slower, but eBay has kept pretty steady. So let's dive into my sales. All right, guys, I'm ready to dive into this what sold video. Before we do, you may notice a little bit of change in my background. I have this cute little plant. My mom recommended that I put a plant on our side table here, and so I did. I bought one, and I think it's like a great little touch to our living room. And then also, I finally put something on my living room wall after almost 3 years of living here. So that's kind of exciting. But anyway, let's jump into these sales. So we have no Mercari sales. So we're going to skip to Depop, where I have 2 sales to go through for this week. So this is a pair of Dr. Martens black Mayport twill canvas casual lace-up high-top tennis shoes, 13 medium. And then I have a paragraph describing this Doc Martens shoe style, which I believe I got directly from Doc Martens' website. And then my own keywords, I put everyday, neutral, and school. I paid $6 for these. I remember specifically finding these at the thrift store and being really excited and surprised that they were Doc Martens, but this style doesn't sell for nearly as much as the leather ones because this one is just canvas. So I had this one listed for $40. I accepted a $25 offer. That makes my profit around $17.73. I've said this in like every one of my what sold videos the past couple of times now, but I think that my Depop calculations are off on my Google Docs sheet or my Google sheet. And so I think that I made a couple dollars less than what it's actually telling me, but my sheet said $17.73 is my net total, but I think it's probably a little less than that. These did take 135 days to sell. I will always pick up Doc Martens if they're a reasonable price and in good condition. These definitely didn't go for nearly as much as I've sold other Doc Marten styles, but Doc Martens are a tried and true brand, and these were in excellent condition. So would happily do that again. And then we have one more Depop sale, which is really exciting. We have a pair of Juicy Couture pants. These are Juicy Couture orange terry cloth Y2K spell out gem flare leg pants, size extra large. In my keywords, I put retro, logo, party, mean girls, casual, loungewear, travel, and on the go. I paid $4.50 for these at Uptown Cheapskate. These were new with tags, which is awesome. I think they retailed for like $99. I had them listed for $40. A girl messaged me saying, hey, would you accept 20 or 25? And I said I would accept 30. So she sent me a $30 offer. I accepted. They sold for $30, making my profit around $24.06. And these only took 10 days to sell. The great thing about these, like I said, that they were new with tags, but also they were a larger size. And they were also a desirable leg style. Flare and wide leg always sells better than a skinny leg or a straight leg. That is it for Depop. Let's head on over to Poshmark. It is crazy, you guys, the amount of Poshmark sales I have compared to eBay. I used to make the most money on Poshmark, and now I make the most money on eBay. So right here, if you guys can see on my information sheet, I'm gonna pull it this way right there. So this little section right here is Poshmark, and then all of this is eBay. So our Poshmark visit today is going to be very short. This first sale is this Saison purple linen blend boho festival, feminine Jolene midi skirt, size small. In my description, I put the keywords bohemian, minimalist, natural, quiet luxury, and hippie. I also got the description on Saison's website for this skirt, and I just put it into my description too. I often do that. I actually found these at a discount store that I like to go to. I like to go to this discount store. It's called NPS, and they have like discounted food and treats, but they also have like a discounted home goods and clothing section. And sometimes I'd like to browse to see if I can find anything to resell. Well, I saw that they had like 4 of these purple Saison skirts. And this skirt just had every single factor that sells right now. It was linen. was it a linen blend or linen? Yeah, I think it was, yeah, it was a linen blend. So it was a linen blend. It was a long length skirt. It was very bohemian. It was from Saison, which is a really, really, really highly desired brand right now. And it was purple. So all of those factors, it made me look it up. It was going to cost me $75. That's including tax for it, about $75. And I looked up comps on Poshmark and I saw a comp for $150. I think I could have sold this for $150, but my Prime lister automatically sends out like a 10% discount. So it sold for $135. That makes my profit $33, which is pretty good because usually my profit is anywhere from like $10 to $20. So above $30 is a really good profit. This only took 11 days to sell. I was thinking to myself, okay, if this skirt sells really, really quickly, I'm going to go back to NPS. I'm going to see if I can see if the other Cezanne skirts have sold or not. But I haven't done it, so maybe I should. But I doubt that they're still there because this skirt is just gorgeous, new with tags. And actually the comp that I saw on Poshmark when I was, deciding if I should get this or not, that one wasn't even new with tags. So I probably could have gotten $150 for this, but that is okay. But this was a super exciting sale. Saison is just such a good brand to resell. And so I was like, even though I'm paying $75, I think I can sell it for a good high amount. And my intuition was correct. I looked up comps and I was right. All right, next item, we have this, which I'm actually not like 100% sure how much I paid for this, but I estimated it was around $8 based on everything I bought from my Uptown Cheapskate haul. So this is a Free People Beach navy blue wide leg drop crotch, which just means that like the crotch, you know how the inseam kind of starts from the crotch and down? That means like the crotch area is dropped, if that makes sense. Jumpsuit, size large. In my description, I put the keywords beach, boho, minimalist, casual, and log and look. I could not find this style. I like to put stock photos for Free People usually, and usually I can find them, but I could not find this style using Google Lens. So I just listed it as, a generic Free People jumpsuit. It was new with tags, paid $8, like I said. I had it listed for $45. I got a $35 offer very, very quickly, which I accepted. That makes my profit $20, and this only took 4 days to sell. Interestingly enough, when I think about like Free People jumpsuits, I think that they retail for more than $100, but this one only retailed for $78, which is interesting, but happy that that sold. Would definitely pick that up again. I found so much Free People when I went to Uptown Cheapskate a few months ago. I'm so excited for when Uptown Cheapskate does their like end of the year sale too. It's going to be amazing, and I will definitely have a haul and maybe a vlog for that one. All right, next sale is this Ted Baker purple velvet bow detail feminine elegant Giulietta pumps heels size 8.5. In my description, I put the keywords going out, event, formal prom, hoko, sexy, bougie, and bougie again. There's two different spelling of bougie. There's Boujee, and then there's also Boujie, and I think both of them are, grammatically correct. And then I put sophisticated. I paid $8 for these. They sold for $35. That makes my profit $20. So same money and cost of goods and selling point as that Free People jumpsuit. And these took 99 days to sell. I don't usually buy heels to resell unless I find them really cheap at the Goodwill outlet. These were in really good condition. I thought the purple velvet with the bow detail was very cute. And Ted Baker, I feel like, is a good brand in some of their pieces. And I think I looked up comps for Ted Baker shoes. And I don't know, comps always say like $50 and stuff, but I'm always like pretty sure that 35 to 40 is going to be like my max on these. I would happily pick these up again though. Very, very cute. Usually I just like really quickly skimmed through the shoe section at the thrift store. And one time I was doing that, these popped out to me and I was like, oh my goodness, those are gorgeous. I'm going to pick those up to resell. And I'm glad that I did. All right, next sale is something that I let go for a lower amount than I would have liked. But I wanted to keep sales moving because I feel like sales on Poshmark have been slow. I feel like I haven't noticed summer slowdown all of June and July, but now that we're like at the end of August, for some reason, I'm noticing a summer slowdown. And it's weird because I've been listing more that I did the past couple of months. So it's kind of odd, but this is a Madewell pastel green, wide leg soft drape, coastal flowy curly pants, sized extra, extra small. So they were a pretty small size. I really try to avoid size 0, size 2, and size extra, extra small. But these ones, I think they were a little bit oversized. Like the waist, let's see, the waist was so 12 by 12 is 24. And then, so 25.5. So not like extremely tiny, but pretty small. In my description, I put the keywords bohemian, boho, beachy, minimalist, timeless, and pull-on. I paid $5 for these. I had them listed for 25 and someone offered me 15, which I thought about countering, but I'm just like, you know what? They're a small size and I'm trying to help the algorithm. So I did accept that offer and that makes my profit $7. And this only took 7 days to sell. So that's really nice. Like I said earlier with the Free People jumpsuit, I really try to find stock photos. Stock photos are technically not allowed on reseller platforms, but I always use them. I've gotten copyrighted a few times on eBay, only one time on Poshmark. Do not use ASOS stock photos. ASOS is very, very, very strict with their stock photos. So even if it's a different brand, if ASOS was selling a different brand from ASOS, but they were selling it and they had their own model photos, do not use that because I recently got copyrighted. So do not post ASOS stock photos for your listings. Let me know down below if you have like any other brands that are very, very strict with stock photos. But I often use them, which is technically not allowed, but I feel like it really helps sell the item. And I know that AI now, you can like put the clothing piece onto a model, but most of those websites and apps that do that, you have to pay for. And I'm very stingy in what I spend my money on in my business. The last sale we have, I'm going to skip a few listings that I featured in my Ship With Me, my weekend sales, because we already went through those. So if you want to see the rest of this week's sales on Poshmark, you can go back and watch my Ship With Me weekend sales video. This is an Elizabeth and James red trumpet mermaid sleeveless scoop flounce mini dress, size 12. In my description, I put the keywords romantic, feminine, sexy, bodycon, going out, date night, and event. I paid $8 for this, and actually it was really interesting because I remember going to the thrift store, seeing this dress and being like, I don't know if Elizabeth and James is that good. I've heard of it and stuff. And then like not even a week after I saw this dress at the thrift store, I had a white Elizabeth and James mini dress sell for $35. And so next time I went to that thrift store, I looked in the dress section again and it was still there because this thrift store is like not a main chain. It's just single thrift store. It's called Calvary Thrift. I've mentioned it a few times, but I did buy it for $8 and I had this listed for $75. And then very recently, I lowered it to $60 and someone paid my full asking price, $60, which is really amazing. That makes my profit $40 and this took 141 days. So kind of a while, but like not insanely long. And what was crazy about this dress was I was able to find so many photos of women wearing this dress, which means, you know, women like this dress. So we have this one, and then we have this one, and we have this one. And that one. So like a lot of women wearing this dress, liking this dress. And I think that all those photos might have helped it to sell for my full asking price, right? Like seeing it on different body types in different settings, I feel like really encourages a buyer to buy from you. Okay, that is it for Poshmark. Heading on over to eBay now, we have this J. Jill light blue, white embroidered, beachy tassels, 3/4 sleeve tunic, size small. In my description, I put the keywords lightweight boho, breathable, resort wear, coastal, denim, and neutral or nautical. Was it nautical or neutral? It was nautical. Nautical. So I paid $2 for this at the Goodwill outlet. I knew it wouldn't sell for much because J. Jill doesn't really sell well in the smaller sizes. But I'm like, I can still make a profit on this. And I felt like it was a day when I wasn't finding that much good stuff at the Goodwill outlet. And so I listed it for, I think, around $20 originally, lowered the price to $15, got a $12 offer, which I accepted, making my profit $7.12. And this took 307 days to sell. So quite a while. I actually tried running this piece in a few Whatnot shows, but y'all know how I feel about Whatnot after that Whatnot video. I actually went onto Whatnot like right before I decided to make this video, and I was just watching other people's lives, and I just got sad all over again because it just got me thinking like, ugh, you know, I tried so hard and my patience ran thin, but Anyway, let's move on to the next sale. So this next sale is pretty good. I had a lot of interest on this when it was listed for more, but I did accept the offer that I got for this. This is a Tahari ASL Midnight Blue Floral Applique 3/4 sleeve tie sash maxi gown, size 8. In my description, I put the keywords event, black tie, going out, feminine prom, Hoko, homecoming, gorgeous, and sparkle. Women right now, or I shouldn't say women, girls who are like in high school and stuff are looking for homecoming dresses right now. My sister actually is in her sophomore year of high school, and she's told me how some of her friends are getting asked to homecoming. She's probably going to go without a date because no one's asked her, but she's not sad about it or anything. But it's definitely Hoko and homecoming are good words to use right now, but like right now, because homecoming is going to happen really, really soon because school just started. And I think homecoming is a month or 2 months after school starts. So I got this from a yard sale for $5. And it was kind of a style-based pickup because I don't really seek out the brand Tahari, and I don't really know the difference between Tahari and Ellie Tahari. I feel like there's just so many different Taharis, but this was maxi length and it had these beautiful floral pleats all over it. So I originally listed it for $75, and then I lowered the price to $60 when I relisted it on eBay, and then I got a $41 offer, which I accepted, making my profit $26.16, and this took 89 days to sell. So right within that 90-day mark, this dress was absolutely gorgeous, though. So happy that I picked this up, and I was able to find 2 stock photos for this dress as well, which is not allowed, but helps me sell stuff, so don't come for me. Okay, next piece I sold is this CJ Banks vintage black-white cat embroidered sleeveless midi dress, size 16W. In my description, I put the keywords grandma, grandma core, cat mom, unique, neutral, casual, and faux suede. I bought this from the thrift store for $8, and I only sold it for $20. This is probably something I shouldn't have paid $8 for. Had I got it at the bins or a yard sale, paid like less than $4 for it, it would have been a great pickup. But the reason I did get this was because it was vintage. It was a longer length dress. I really liked the white like cat embroidery, and some people like specifically look for cat printed stuff because they're, crazy cat ladies, which, nothing wrong with that, but it really is a good factor to look for in clothing. And it was also a larger size. It was a 16W plus size. I think it's like the very smallest of the plus sizes, but it is a larger size. So my profit from this is only $7.20, but that's okay. I still made a good profit. I feel like anything above $5 makes me not feel terribly awful. Like whenever my profit is under $5 and it took like more than a year to sell, I feel kind of bad about that sale. But this sold in 141 days. So I would pick this dress up again only if I paid a lot less for it, because $8 was too much, right? Like this specific thrift store is called Deseret Industries. I don't think they have it on like the east part of the United States, but they either price their dresses at $6 or $8 usually. It's very random. Like it doesn't even have to do with brand, or they'll like sometimes price dresses differently if they're new with tags, but their standard price is either $6 or $8. And apparently this one was $8. And I was like, I'm just gonna pay $8, but that was a bad idea. Okay. I am so dumb because, well, actually, all the time I'm like, ugh, I'm so dumb, when I make a mistake during the day. And that has like made it so my older daughter says, oh, I'm so dumb, or, stuff like that. And my husband's like, you can't say that around the girls. And I'm like, you're right, because, I shouldn't talk down on myself. I mean, it's just more of like, it's kind of my way of saying like, instead of like cussing, I say, I'm so dumb, Anyway, so the reason I'm so dumb in this sale is because I had it listed for $22. I originally bought this skirt at the Goodwill outlet to give to my mom, but my mom is a tall girly, and this skirt was, although pretty long, like on me, it's a midi length. I measured it because I did run this also in a Whatnot show, but on her, it was just too short for her liking. So she ended up giving it back to me. Took no offense, but I'll tell you my goof up after I tell you the title. So this is a vintage lead medium wash denim 90s Western elastic waist knee length skirt size. In my description, I put the keywords closet staple, wardrobe basic, rodeo, cowgirl, and neutral. Now, I should also mention here that I said the skirt is a petite size, so please check measurements. I just realized I froze up, you guys. So you guys will continue to hear my voice, but my face is going to be frozen. The reason I put this is because I never list anything under petite size. And that's just because I feel like it's harder to find a buyer if you list something in a petite size. So I always just list it as regular size, and then I just make sure to put my description that it is actually a petite size. So please check measurements. So I had this listed for 22. Got a watcher. Meant to send them a $19 offer. Ended up accidentally sending them a $9 offer. I was like half asleep, so my bad, but that only makes my profit $4.84, and this took 97 days to sell. So I would pick this up again. I feel like longer denim skirts always have a following, and with this one being vintage, definitely helped it, but still kind of sad about the fact that I sent them such a low offer. All right, next sale is a non-clothing item. I love talking about the non-clothing item sales. This is a vintage Wilton 1986 My Little Pony silver baking cake pan mold. In my description, I put the keywords cake decorating, birthday party, nostalgia, and kidcore, as well as 80s. I got this at the Goodwill outlet for $1. Or I put $2 on my sheet. It sold for $10, which was my full asking price. Or actually, I think I had it listed for $12 and I got a $10 offer, making my profit $5.78. And this took 227 days to sell. I've mentioned this in past What Sold videos, but I have such a hard time leaving cool cake pans that I find at either the Goodwill outlet or the thrift store behind, because I just think they're so cool. I'm like, these are, vintage. This is from 1986. So I would pick this up again. And although like my profit's very, very little, I like listing stuff like that. I don't know why, but I'm okay with like smaller profits. For me, my goal isn't to get like the most money I can for every item, right? Like that'd be amazing, but it would just stress me out to only find like high dollar items. This next sale is this Intimately Free People pink white satin coquette open sides slip dress size extra large. In my description, I put the keywords girly, dainty, baby doll, feminine, and nightgown. I could also not find a stock photo for this one, unfortunately. Like it gave me similar stock photos for different brands, but I could not find this exact stock photo for Free People, which was kind of disappointing, but it's okay. I paid $6.50 for this dress. It was kind of a nightgown because it had open sides, but it sold for my full asking price of $25, which was about what comps looked like, and that makes my profit $12.50. This only took 5 days to sell, so maybe I could have priced it at more because it was a size extra large, which definitely helps increase the value of an item, especially when it's in like a more desirable brand, because definitely like Free People and Anthropologie flood the secondhand market. But if you have a larger size, your item is going to be a lot more highly desired because there's less people selling them. This next piece is this Victoria's Secret pink spell out blue-green velvet velour tracksuit jacket size large. In my description, I put the keywords Y2K, cool mom, soft athleisure, loungewear, and sporty. The reason I put cool mom was because it just like reminded me of the mom in Mean Girls. I just feel like she would wear this, or Regina George in Mean Girls would wear this. And I feel like, that movie was so iconic. People still look for like styles like that from the movie. I paid $2 for this at the Goodwill outlet. It sold for $13, making my profit $7.88. This did take 421 days to sell, so quite a while, but I'm still happy with that because I made a profit, and I'm so glad to have it out of my closet after so long. Another item that took forever to sell that was a style-based pickup is this Studio One navy blue feminine Parisian sleeveless belt fit and flare dress size 10. In my description, I put the keywords teacher dress, New Girl inspired Jessica Day, summer dress, spring dress, neutral dress, Parisian chic, old money, nautical, and twee. That is a lot of keywords. The reason I put New Girl was because I feel like this was something that like Jessica would wear in New Girl. I watched a few seasons of that show. Didn't like it a ton, but people definitely search for styles from that character. And you can tell that this is a really old piece because I put my measurements in the description, which is something I did way back when I first started reselling, before I started writing my measurements on a whiteboard. I paid $2 for this at the Goodwill outlet. It sold for $15, making a profit $9.40. And this took 536 days to sell. So quite a while. You can also tell that this is an older listing because I took it in my bathroom on the back of a door. So this was back when we had renters in our basement and I didn't have my reseller office. Interestingly enough, this dress also was getting a lot of attention on Depop. I feel like things that get a lot of attention on Depop end up selling on eBay instead, because people on Depop are poor because they're young and they can't commit to anything. All right, this next piece was, I'm like indifferent about it. This is a straight down white blue striped sporty golf stretchy polo shirt, size medium. In my description, I put the keywords lightweight, casual, travel, summer, and spring. We picked this up from the Goodwill outlet for $2, and it sold for only $5, which I think I had it listed for $8, or maybe I reduced the price down to $5. Either way, it sold for $5. And the reason I was okay with selling it for so little was because there was a custom embroidery country club on the sleeve. I would have not picked it up had that been the case. But my profit for this is $1.80. And this took 197 days to sell. Straight Down can be a good men's bread and butter brand, but alas, this had custom embroidery. I remember looking this brand up at the Goodwill outlet, not noticing the custom embroidery, but the comps were okay. And I was like, oh, okay, nice to know another kind of men's bolo clothing brand, because I'm definitely more knowledgeable in women's clothing brands. This next pair of shoes took not even a day to sell, so very quick flip. This is a Taos taupe Mary Jane classic supportive feminine urge wedge shoes, size 6.5. I think urge was the style of these wedges. I always wonder if I should even put taupe or if I should just put like gray, because do people actually search taupe in the algorithm? Maybe they do, but I often use that keyword and wonder if people are actually searching for taupe colored things. In my description, I put the keywords classic, neutral, minimalist, closet staple, and wardrobe basic. I actually picked these up from Savers, which usually Savers marks up their shoes. I definitely pay more for stuff at Savers on average compared to other thrift stores. They were marked at like $8.49, and Savers does charge you tax. So I just put on my Google sheet that I paid $9.50 for these. And they sold for $25. I listed them for $35, and I got a $25 offer not even a day later. That makes my profit $9.50, and it took 0 days to sell, which I'm totally okay with, right? Like $9.50 isn't a ton, but it took less than a day to sell. So I would do that all freaking a day. We had a lot of sales on eBay, but they're not high dollar, but these low dollar sales, they add up, right? So I'm happy with that, right? Like I'm okay running my business like this, although it is exciting to get like the high dollar sales too. This is a vintage Canon pink, yellow, purple, floral stripe, 60s, 70s, 80s medium bath towel. The reason I put 60s, 70s, and 80s was because I have no idea when this towel was from. It could have been from the 90s. Maybe it isn't even vintage, okay? But I thought it was vintage, so I put it that it was vintage. In my description, I put the keywords girly, dainty, girlhood core, grandma core, baby pink self-care collectible, and 100% cotton. I paid $4 for this at the Goodwill outlet, and it sold for $12, which I think was my full asking price. That was definitely a reduced price once I relisted it, but that's fine. That makes my profit $5.12, and this took 342 days to sell. Would I pick this up again? Probably not, just because it didn't sell for a lot, and I just feel like I don't know enough about vintage towels, but I do think that like certain vintage towels, especially if they're like character themed or have a really cute print, can do well. This next sale is this new Lauren Ralph Lauren red stretchy classic casual pop of color shirt, size 2X. In my description, I put the keywords closet staple, wardrobe basic, cotton, bold, and everyday. When I was, like when you list something on eBay and it like has a recommended price based on similar items that sold, well, this exact same shirt that was also new with tags sold on eBay for $25, but mine didn't sell for that much. But that is how much I originally priced it for, and then I reduced it to $24 once I relisted it. I paid $3.50 for this at an estate sale. It sold for $19, which was an offer that I sent out, making my profit $10.94, and this took 112 days to sell. I remember this estate sale, and this wasn't the only new with tags thing I got. I got this that was new with tags, and then I also got an Athleta tank that was also new with tags that sold a while ago. All right, a few more sales here. I think that we have like a few sales at the end that I'm not going to include because those were weekend sales that I sold in the video and I talked about in a couple of videos ago. This is a universal thread, black flutter, cap sleeve, dark cottagecore, maxi dress, size 2XL. In my description, I put the keywords feminine, maiden, milkmaid, and prairie. Milkmaid is such a good keyword right now, okay? Like, it's even better than cottagecore, kind of, in my opinion, because I feel like cottagecore is kind of an overused term, but milkmaid isn't. And milkmaid style, I talked about it, I think, in my last what sold video, but it's just like when there is a seam right under the bust, but it's not like a baby doll cut. It's a little different. Anyway, with this, I remember I was at the thrift store and I paid $7 for it, but I looked up on eBay, universal thread, maxi length dress, size 2XL. And I think there were like 27 listed, 26 sold. So it was like a really good sell-through rate, which makes sense because like it's maxi length and people know the brand Universal Thread and it's plus size, which plus size can make a huge difference into if something is going to sell or not. It is honestly crazy. But like I said, paid $7 for this. It only sold for $19. I think I got a $15 offer and then I countered with like 20 and then they countered with 19. Actually, no, they sent me a $17 offer. I countered with 20. They countered with 19, which I did accept. That makes my profit $7.44, and this took only 82 days to sell. Would definitely pick that up again. It would have been so much better had I found that at the bins because my profit would have been more, but that is okay. I like to source a lot at the Goodwill outlet, although I haven't been in a while because I've been going to a lot of like estate sales and yard sales because it is the season to be doing that. And when winter hits and colder seasons hit, probably won't be going to estate sales and definitely won't be going to yard sales because it'll be too cold outside. But then I will be hitting up the Goodwill outlet a lot more. This next sale is this Chico's white gray silver glitter sparkle 100% silk button-up blouse size extra large, which is equivalent to a size 3. Chico's has their own sizing. It's kind of like vanity sizing, but it's just weird in my opinion. In my description, I put flowy, lightweight, business casual, geometric, glam, office, cocktail, mature, work, and career. I paid $5 for this blouse. It sold for $19, making my profit $9.44. This did take 244 days to sell, but it's funny because I have like a soft spot for Chico's. If you pay a cheap enough amount for Chico's and the Chico's piece just like has something extra to it, I feel like it'll sell. Sometimes it'll sell soon, sometimes it'll sell later, but I don't know. Like I kind of like Chico's. Like it's kind of a fun brand to sell in my opinion. It's really easy to find, especially at like the Goodwill outlet and yard sales and such. But it definitely sells better in size 3 and up. This one had really good factors because it was 100% silk and was very sparkly. So very happy that I picked this up. Would pick this up again. And yeah, great little sale there. Not a huge profit, but around $10, which is okay with me. 2 more sales before we end this little what's sold video here, which I feel like is actually coming out to be pretty long because of how many eBay sales I had, which I'm not complaining. Like, yes, I'm happy with all these eBay sales. So this is a vintage Gontos black gold silk angora lamb's wool beaded tassels sweater size small. In my description, I put the keywords 80s, party, dance, festival, costume, unique, glam, disco, and New Year's. I have a little story to go with this blouse or sweater, so hang in there. But a couple weeks ago, when I went to yard sales, I had gone to like 6, and a lot of them weren't good. And then the last one I went to, I drove there, and like I wasn't going to get out of the car because the yard sale looked like it was full of trashy, cheap stuff. But then I felt guilty, and so I'm like, you know what, I'll just look through that pile of clothes, see if there are any goodies. And I'm so glad that I did because I was able to fill up a box for $10, which is pretty good. And a few of those pieces I ended up like throwing away, but it still was well worth my money. And there were a lot of these cool, like, well, not a lot, but a few of these cool vintage pieces with nice material makeup in them. So this one was in there, and this one had silk and Angora rabbit hair and lamb's wool in it. And it was like beautifully beaded with all these tassels. It was a really cool piece. I paid $3 for it, which I think is like a little more than I actually paid for it because I paid $10 for everything. But sometimes I like to round up, just in case I accidentally miscalculate and undercharge myself ever. I sold for $20, making my profit $12.20. And this only took 14 days to sell. So really quick flip. I'm definitely noticing sweaters and stuff starting to sell now. This last sale is this pair of American Eagle Next Level Airflex Medium Washed Dressed Slim Jeans size 29 by 30. In my description, I put stretch, flattering, handsome, school, closet staple, and mid-rise. I paid $3 for these at the Goodwill outlet. They sold for $18, which was my full asking price. It was a reduced price. I relisted these jeans and then listed them for $18, but that is okay because my profit is $10.68, and these took 323 days to sell. I don't usually pick up American Eagle from regular thrift stores, and I definitely don't really pick up men's American Eagle from thrift stores, but I often find like nice men's jeans at the bins, and I do like to pick them up. So I'm glad that I picked these up, and I would pick them up again. I was kind of worried about the distressing. I wasn't too sure if someone would not want to buy them because of the distressing, but they still sold. And it is the season to be selling jeans because people are buying clothes for back to school, which is why sometimes I put back to school in my keywords, and then other times I just put school in my keywords. But that is all for today's What Sold video. Thanks for tuning in. That's it for this What Sold video. Same as always, if you're new to my What Sold videos, this is how they usually go. I don't usually just stick to 1 week of sales, but I have been really keeping up with my What Sold videos lately. So this is 1 week of sales, every sale, the good and the bad. And I do very much appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.